we would like to reveal the Week 3 spotlight games of Dave Campbell's Texas football tonight. It's our Friday night programming, a red zone style show that takes you into all of the best games across the Lone Star State. We're live from 7:30 to around 10 o'clock, as you can watch it for free wherever you're watching this program right now, or on Dave Campbell's Texan Live, our streaming platform here under the Dave Campbell's umbrella. Let's get started and not waste any time here. Thursday night action happening tomorrow night. I almost said tonight. My days are thrown off. But tomorrow night, we'll start off with a cross-regional matchup. It's Austin versus the Bryan College Station area as A&M Consolidated takes on Pflugerville Weiss. This one suddenly got super interesting. Both teams now ranked. It's very different because this is the start of district play for 12-5A Division I. Mm-hmm. So critical district games because the loser could be looking at third place with the way that district shapes out. But the thing that I really, really, really am interested in is A&M Consolidated has faced some high-powered offense. Mm-hmm. They had an incredible game against Forney. 6A Forney, which traveled all the way down there. They had a very good game against Lake Belton. Still a team I feel like trying to find its identity off of the loss of Micah Hudson. But Pflugerville Weiss being 2-0 right now is shocking considering their senior starting quarterback went down in the first scrimmage of the season. Mm-hmm. Well, in steps in freshman. Class of 2028, Jackson Shad has them off to a 2-0 start. He's completed 78% of his passes. He's thrown for 530 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. This kid, 2028, gets thrust into the first 2 games of the season and is dropping dimes. This will be a big, big, big showing for him if they can even stay close to A&M Consolidated after how well they've played the first couple of weeks.
Well, and that stat line is super impressive. I mean, just from the sheer fact that he's a freshman and he was just kind of thrown into the game. But guys, this is a 6A program. I mean, you're going up against some big time dudes, and the fact that he's able to do this, getting thrown into a 6A program like this, that's incredible.
An incredible way to start off district.
Pflugerville Weiss is 6A, correct?
I think they dropped down.
Okay.
It's the start of district play, so they're 12-5A Division
An upper
I.
class, yes.
They are 5A.
An upper class, not only 6A, but 5A as well.
Mm-hmm. In the Houston area tomorrow night, this one's a big one. C.E. King taking on Spring Decaney. C.E. King they've been one of those teams that just is consistently almost there. You know, they've had really good years the past couple of seasons. They seem like they're right on the cusp until a big name like an Atascocita, a Katy, Galena Park North Shore, until they roll around. Interested to see if they can finally get over that hump. And then Spring Decaney, a program looking to make some noise. Yeah,
well, I mean, just looking at their district right now, I think this is C.E. King's district, and it is just a gauntlet. I mean, you've got Atascocita, Galena Park North Shore, Summer Creek. Like, they're a great team, don't get me wrong. They just got stuck into a tough district, and this is a really fun offense to watch. It's a really fun young offense to watch. I'm really excited to see this offense go up against Spring Decaney's defense led by Texas commit linebacker Nick Townsend. I think this will be a really fun matchup on a Thursday night. Yeah, it's funny because C.E. King is always like, we naturally kind of slot them in that third position in that district, and it's like, you put them in any other district in Houston, and they would be contending for a district championship every single year because they're doing that against 2 of the best programs that we've seen. Yeah, it'll be a good Thursday night matchup. I'm excited for this one.
Really, really excited. We'll have all of the highlights and reactions from the broadcasters on Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight to kick off the show. Then we move into the Friday slate, which just stinking rocks. The aforementioned district bunkmate of C.E. King, the humble Atascocita Eagles, taking on Austin Westlake in a certified banger of a game.
Cross-regional rivalry right there. That's fun.
This one is fun. It was going to be fun regardless. It is extra fun now considering the result of last week's game that humble Atascocita played in, taking down Katy.
They whomped Katy.
They had an impressive showing. Carday Mack looks like the guy right now.
I agree.
They're a very, very deep team, but Tori Blaylock, Carday Mack, like we said, They exposed Houston Lamar in week 1. That was a ranked team going into the preseason, or going into the season. Then a 41-24 romping of Katy was very, very, very impressive by Craig Stump's ball club. So excited to see what they do. Again, and we'll talk about this again in a minute, but a potential trap game there as they go to Westlake. High rolling, excited off that Katy win, and then they go to face Tony Salazar's ball club, which seems to be, completely in stride. They're excited to see what they end up doing. Their quarterback Reese Weiss has looked very good throughout the first couple of games. Hard to take a lot out of the last result for Austin Westlake. They played San Benito. Shout out San Benito for not backing down and making the trip up from the valley to go play that game. They're playing different levels of football. So hard to put much stock into that, but excited to see what the Shaps do against what we know now is an incredibly good Atascocita team. That defense, Tony Salazar's defense against Carde Mack and that high-flying Atascocita offense that's going to be the phrase that pays.
I think so too. And this Westlake team, this is a team that in the past, and I can say that about them this year, they like to win games in the trenches. And if you look at their resume, like you said, they had an impressive win against San Benito last week and an even more impressive win against Prosper the week before.
Which is also very big in the trenches.
Very big in the trenches. And we talked about that, and we knew that game was going to be won in the trenches. Whoever can take over that win. And I think that this is kind of the same here. I think Austin Westlake filled with a lot of prospects, as well as you can say that the same thing about Atascocita, but a lot of star power in this game. But I think it's definitely going to be who plays better up front.
Yeah, I think where my eyes go in that matchup specifically is how do they keep up with the speed? We've seen them play Prosper, a tough physical team up front. We know they can do that. San Benito wasn't even that was a no contest at that point. Moving on into this game, it's Atascocita is way faster than Prosper in every way. How do they handle that speed? But Westlake, it's a coin toss. Whatever you think. If Atascocita can travel well, then that's great. But Shap Stadium is not an easy place to play in. So
no, not at all.
Interested to see that. Moving on down now to a lower classification. It's 4A Division 2 versus 4A Division 1. The number 3 ranked Wimberley Texans in 4A Division 2 taking on the 8th ranked Austin LBJ Jaguars in 4A Division 1. And remember, they always opt to play up there. But Wimberley is a team that if you're not paying attention to, you need to. Doug Warren, an unbelievably underrated coach. I think the Texans are cooking with Crisco right now. Cody Stover, their 3-year starter at quarterback, has been the guy year in and year out. You remember 2 years ago in the state championship game, he had a hand in every single yard that was marked down on the offensive side of the ball. He has looked just incredibly impressive with a big win shutting out Canyon Lake, and then a very good win 35-9 over Fredericksburg last week. So this will be a big test for them as Joe Rawls in his second year there with the Jaguars. We're interested to see what they do. They had a huge win over San Antonio Sam Houston, and then an unfamiliar week 2 bye. So we don't really have an incredibly accurate pulse on what this LBJ team is. We know that they're solid on defense. We know that they always have skill players. How well does that match up? Because we just haven't seen them in a competition that's in their weight class.
Right. I can tell you that I bet you Austin LBJ is back in 4A Division 1, because if you remember, they won they played in the 4A Division 1 state championship game a couple years ago.
In 2019,
Stephenville against,
2021.
2021 or 2022, I can't remember which, against
21.
Stephenville for a Division 1. It must have been 2021 because 2022 was a realignment year.
Correct.
They had they went up to 5A Division 2, and it was just a tougher ball game at that point. They were going up against all those Austin schools around there. Being back in 4A Division 1, I think they're kind of feeling their groove a little bit more, and I think that they're going to be a really, really good ball club this year.
Yeah, excited to see what they end up doing there. So that is that one. Moving on to the next one, we go up to some of the big boys in the DFW, the Cedar Hill Longhorns taking on the Red Oak Hawks in what I think is just an interesting game, literally because I feel like this is one of the most evenly matched matchups that we have seen so far this year. I feel like these are two teams that are not going to win their district, but they are teams that if they get into stride at the right time of the year, you cannot count them out. I think that's the biggest thing is here's a pretty evenly matched matchup. Who's going to pull through? I think that Red Oak has started off this season 0-2. A disappointment for anyone that is out there. They've got their senior wide receiver who is outstanding in Taz Williams. He has been the heartbeat of this team for a couple of years now. Starting off with a new quarterback, that's where all eyes are going to be. Can he step up and get Taz Williams the ball more? Because Taz Williams has the opportunity to take over a game at any point in time. But this is also a Cedar Hill defense that we expect some pretty good things from. So just very even on both sides of the ball.
I was going to say, if you like star power and you like big-time FBS prospects, your eyes are going to go to this game because there's going to be a lot of that on both sides here. I'm still trying to decide what Red Oak is.
Yeah.
Because they have dudes everywhere.
They just need someone who can get them the ball.
It's just a matter of learning how to work together too, I think. They played really well, I think, against Colleyville Heritage week 1, and then they go and play Arlington Seguin, which is a good ball club, but they get whomped by them. So I think this week will be a really good test, and even for Cedar Hill too, this will be a really good test because you like you said earlier, these two teams are very evenly matched, and I think it'll be a good game regardless. But it'll be a big test for both these teams.
Yeah, Billy Middleton being able to step up in that quarterback spot could be the difference in this game for me. Moving on now to one of the tastiest matchups across the state, hands down, the 6A matchup between Denton Geyer and North Crowley. North Crowley obviously coming off what many are considering the biggest win since they won state championship in 2003, and that was, of course, taking down the two-time reigning state champions in DeSoto. That game was not a fluke. They outplayed DeSoto, and they came out with the win.
Yes.
Incredibly impressive by Ray Gates Ball Club. That being said, do not let this be a trap game. We saw on Twitter, we'll highlight it on the show on Friday night, Coach Ray Gates put out a hog trap. His Shiner, Texas coming through.
Awesome.
Put out a hog trap with a paper on it with all of the quotes about North Crowley and said, guys, we cannot let this get us because they are going up against a Denton Geyer squad that has every weapon that they need, potentially have questions at quarterback, have big questions at quarterback, to be able to take down a North Crowley team. I think it is a fantastic matchup. I think it's going to be big guys hitting big guys. My biggest question is the consistency at quarterback for Denton Geyer. It's looked good at times. It has looked not good at other times. They've crushed both wins. They got a great win against Aledo. Obviously, Aledo punching up a classification, not throwing a lot of dirt on them, but you never count Aledo out. And then a pretty good win against Arlington Martin last week. They started off slow, though. If they start off slow against North Crowley,
they're going to come out and punch in the mouth. Yeah,
they're gonna get down.
North Crowley is, yeah.
You can come back on Arlington Martin. If you start slow against North Crowley, goodbye, see you later.
I do think that North Crowley is the better team in all phases of the game here. It is just a matter of how do you handle last week's win and how do you put that in the past and not, like you said, and like Ray Gates posted on social media, how do you not let this be a trap game? And I don't think it will be because all matters aside, Denton Geyer is still a ranked 6A team. They are still one of the best teams in the entire state. But I still think that North Crowley is the better ball club here. Let's just see how they handle last week's huge win over DeSoto.
Absolutely. Now, rounding it out with our final two games, we start off with another fun cross-regional matchup. This one, Beast Texas versus DFW, as the number 4 ranked Texarkana Texas High Tigers in District 7 5A Division 2, off to a 2-0 start, take on a Midlothian Heritage Jaguars squad, both in 6 5A Division 2, who has started off 0-2. This, to me, feels like what could be the first real test for Texas High. I understand that they're 2-0 and that Midlothian Heritage is 0-2, but Midlothian Heritage playing Stephenville and Argyle, those losses to me, even though those two teams were punching up classifications, well, at least Stephenville was, seem like a lot better losses maybe than a 37-13 win over Tyler Legacy and then beating Argyle Liberty Christian. I'm not taking anything away from wins. Wins are wins. They're 2-0. The other team's 0-2. I think that Tredarian Ball has been exceptional.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Has been so good for Texas High. Midlothian Heritage, their defense is going to have a big test going up against him. But I feel like this is the first time we're getting a real good dose of, okay, here's a team that potentially could be good, has some pedigree in them the past handful of years. How does Texas High play? And if they just go off and they just rattle one off against Midlothian Heritage, I honestly don't know if I glean more from that for Texas High, or maybe Heritage is way further down than we thought that they were going to be.
I think so too. And I went to a Midlothian Heritage game last year, and they looked pretty dang good. They lost a couple of really good key guys on defense. One, Stetson Bennett played both ways. He was more of an offensive weapon, I'd say, but he also played both ways. And then Tamarick Johnson, who went to Oklahoma State. Two key guys that they really need to figure out how to replace on that defense. And like you said, Tredarian Ball is going to be on the other side for Texas High on the offense. And that might be a scary matchup, but that's where my eyes are going to go. It's how can this Midlothian Heritage defense that's trying to reload handle this insane receiver that Texas High has.
And talk about a really good way to shut us up about Midlothian Heritage and any doubts that we may have. If they go out if they go out there and just stomp Texas High, then you're right back in the conversation. No one bats an eye.
No. But then people start looking at Texas High as like, is their resume really not that impressive? You know? So it kind of goes both ways here. So it's interesting.
It is interesting. Very excited for that one. All right, our last and final game. Of course, it is our weekly Fans Choice Award. If you haven't checked it out, go to texasfootball.com/TexanLive/forms, and every single week you get to vote for the sixth and final spotlight game on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. And the winner is Spring Westfield versus Galena Park North Shore. What an enticing matchup this is. You've got big prospects. You've got two big names. You've got a team in Spring Westfield that is in their first year under a new head coach, the first time in a long time that Matt Meekins hasn't been at the helm for that program. And then, of course, North Shore. I don't really need to tell you all that much about them. They have looked the part. I think that this is a really, really good matchup for them to prove just how dominant they could be heading into district play.
Yeah, like you said, if you like star power, this is a game that your eyes are going to go to. This is big, tough, hard-hitting football. I don't know how Caleb Bailey is going to play. I know that he was not playing up to people's expectations last week against Crowley, so I'm going to be watching to see how he handles a team that I could probably confidently say is better than Crowley.
Yeah. Absolutely. So there you go. Spring Westfield and Galena Park North Shore, our sixth and final spotlight game. Again, we have highlights coming in throughout that entire show all night from every single corner of the state, West Texas, East Texas, RGV, San Antonio. I mean, anywhere that you can look, we've got the highlights coming in. So we are excited for you to join us for that 7:30 p.m. on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. It's Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight.